Welcome to Yoga is Science, the podcast where Western medicine meets Eastern philosophy. I'm Colynn Vosburgh, a former emergency room nurse and medical student turned full-time yoga teacher. With over 200 teacher trainings taught, I've come to understand how yoga really is the original science of life. And I'd love you to join me as we explore the profound ways that ancient wisdom and modern science intersect to support healing, growth, and transformation. Let's dive in. So today, my discussion or talking point is meditation. And naturally, we need to talk about the nervous system to understand why it is that we would even discuss meditation. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to talk about it from a nervous system perspective. And then I thought at the end, what we'll do is we'll kind of go through some of the different types of meditation and how they're supportive and how you can pick which one would help you in the place that you are in right now. So let's just start with your nervous system. Okay. When it comes to yoga is science, and we talk a lot about the ego in yoga. Let's talk about what the ego is in Western science. The ego is your nervous system. That's what it is. The Manamaya Kosha, a whole nother podcast episode, is the body made of your mind. Now, when I ask you, where's your mind? And I say, like, point to it. Right now, while you're at home, where is your mind? Most people, almost everybody that I know, points to their head because they think that's where the voice inside their head is. Like we use this terminology a lot. And so if it's here, and we look at the nervous system, your central nervous system is guided by your brain and your spinal cord, right? So your brain is the command center, and then the spinal cord is full of nerves, a whole bunch of nerves that then head out into your whole body. And that is the electrical signal of your entire body. It gives all the directions, but it also is sensory. So it's also always checking in with what's happening around you. Now, if we go back to caveman days, right? We go back to like when cavemen they didn't have language, they didn't have medical degrees. Like they needed to learn, like, oh my goodness, eating feels good and it helps keep me alive. And petting a saber-toothed tiger is bad and I die if I fall off a mountain, right? Like they didn't even have language. So we've had to learn how to fully show up in the world now, in which there's actually not that many dangers. And there are still dangers, don't get me wrong, but like caveman days, like you didn't even know where you're going to eat. Right here, I know that people suffer from different situations like homelessness, and there's not enough food and there's food crises. So don't get me wrong, I'm not going to these extremes. I'm just talking about general. In general, most people have access to some type of food, even if it's in a dumpster. Okay. Think about caveman days. There was no dumpster because there was no excess food. So nervous system way back when is much different. Well, still actually quite similar. The environment and the situation is different nowadays. The thing about the nervous system is like you could be walking through your yard, right? And you step on a stick and the stick, like crunches some leaves over in the corner. Your nervous system will react to the crunches in the leaves like a saber-tooth tiger. Now, it may take a minute to be like, oh, that wasn't a saber-tooth tiger. I'm okay. But the perceived threat and the actual threat are the same. There's no difference in the nervous system until you stop and think about it. And that is when some conscious mind, some relatable thinking will come in and be like, oh, that was a branch. So right now, honestly, if you don't have money, you can't survive. Like, again, remember, I'm speaking general. I get it. There's an exception to every rule, and go ahead and share it with me. But like, that's not where I'm going. In general, right? We have to have money to live. We need to have money to pay. And what is money? Honestly, money is nothing. Money is energy. Yes, okay, from this perspective. Money is something we've all agreed on. It's a piece of paper. It's like a metal, or it's decimal points and numbers on a computer. Money is not real. Money is a concept. But if you don't have it, if you don't have this fake thing, then you will die. So the nervous system is literally on guard 24/7 to a perceived threat that isn't even actually a real threat because it's all made up. You might have a lot to say about that. It's okay, but like just let that settle for a minute and recognize that the nervous system, it's not programmed to be like, oh yeah, that's right, money's fake. You're right. No, what are your objections? If I walk up to the supermarket and I take like a thing of milk and I go to walk out, then I would be like, and they'd say, give me money. I'm like, money isn't real. It doesn't matter how real I think that money is. I'm going to jail, right? It's pretty real. So that all being said, the nervous system is not taking that any different. If I'm going to jail because I just stole a gallon of milk, like I'm in trouble. So we are currently living with a nervous system that is always looking for the negative. You know, when you sit down and you sit with your thoughts, you'll actually see that your thoughts aren't very positive. Again, I'm speaking in general. Maybe you're an enlightened master. That's great. You don't even need to be here. And I'm speaking to all the rest of us that aren't enlightened masters. That when you sit down and you be quiet, you're going to notice that what's going through your mind is not positive. It's actually quite the opposite. So, number one, that's why we have meditation, but we're not there yet. Let's go back to the nervous system. So, the nervous system is in a state of fight or flight, right? This is what we are what we're kind of consistently in, and shifting from sympathetic to parasympathetic, it's not really like on or off. It's kind of like a balance scale. And right now, the society we're living in with a constant perceived threat of not having enough money, no matter how rich you are, puts us in a chronic state of fight or flight. But there's still more to go. Like you could be pulled into a riptide or chased by a tiger, and you're going to be able to like kick the nervous system even more into fight or flight. But really what we're talking about is like this space of kind of chronic fight or flight. And so when we're in fight or flight, the nervous system is on guard, like the thoughts like, watch out or you're going to die. Wait, it's always looking for danger. Okay. And here we are. We have literally been taught, okay, just think about your own background. So I'm 45. My mom is 70-ish. My grandmother passed away in her 80s. And when she was 4, she was in World War II. So her parents really were like in their adulthoods in World War II and around the Great Depression. So my lineage, also straight from England, on one side, is full on from the Depression. And what was the Depression? I mean, people couldn't eat. There wasn't enough food. There was war. There was famine. There was disease. And so I'm a direct lineage. I'm taught by these. I'm staying with the women. I'm taught by the men too, but I'm staying with the women. I was taught by these women that there is not enough. So I'm a baby. We'll do another whole episode on the picture of you and where our patterns and behaviors come from. But like, I'm a baby. My mind is wide open. There's no conscious thinking, right? There's no like, oh, I shouldn't cry because my mother's too busy to feed me right now. It's just like, no, feed me. biatch, right? Like there's nothing's gonna stop me, and like I'm gonna cry until you feed me. So there's no conscious thinking as a baby, and everything that you hear and exposed to, that goes in as truth. So before you even know it, you already have a pattern of thinking, and it's taught to you from the people that raised you, from the people that raised them, from the people that raised them. And right now we're establishing those people were in the Great Depression. Whoa. So I show up and I start thinking about the age of like 9 to 12. I start having conscious thought in my mind, but I'm already full on ingrained. Like I'm not enough. I'm fat. I'm unlovable. Because it's not just like the people that raise me and this like societal idea of not enough. It's also like specific interactions that I've had with my family members. And then another piece is like witnessing. Like a lot of it's not just like what people say, it's like what people do, and we witness what they do. And so we learn that witnessing what they do, and then we do that. So by the time you start thinking, you already got your patterns ingrained and you don't even know it. Did you know right now everything that you believe, everything that you think, all your values, all your morals, everything you were taught? Just think about that for a minute. If you believe in God, you believe in like yoga, you believe in like all these different things, you have this like strong conviction that the truth will set you free. You were taught that. That's not your own independent thought. So everything that you believe, now whether it was a lesson, like maybe your parents lied so much that you found this integrity, right? That the truth is so important. Or maybe that's things that your parents said all the time. But there's no individual thought that, like the truth that you came up with on your own, of your own processing, that the truth will set you free. This is something that you learned from somebody. So you have these thoughts going through, you're not even aware of it, and then you start to consciously think. But your nervous system, your mind body, the body made of mind, is constantly going through all these thoughts that you've ever thought. Money doesn't grow on trees. This is the perfect body. Fake boobs are nicer. Wrinkles are bad. I need Botox. Everything matters the way that I look, like whatever. And no judgment to any of those things. They're literally like, if I'm fat, I need to lose weight, right? No judgment. I'm fat, I need to lose weight. I'm stupid, I need to prove to everybody how smart I am. I'm old, I can't be old. Like, that's just gross. Oh, my boobs are not perky enough. And I mean, these are all, I only ever speak from a place of experience. So I'm only ever sharing, not because there's someone in mind that I'm going to throw digs at. It's like things in mind that I've thought on the regular about my own body. I mean, I've got like one video showing my belly roll. So I'm just going to do it. There you go. Right there, right there, right there, right there. There it is. Right? That's bad. I need to not have that. I don't even have to think actually. It just goes through, right? Yes. So our work is discover what is going on 24/7 in our bodies. We're in a chronic state. This is how where it all comes together. If you're like, oh my gosh, I can't follow your ADHD brain, this is where it all comes together. Is that there when we're in chronic fight or flight based on the current financial system that we have, um, the mind body is naturally going to look for perceived dangers. And what we've been taught is like, no, there's not like a bear, well, maybe a cougar, a bear behind a tree that's like going to eat me, or a cougar that's stalking me. It's like, I don't have enough money, or nobody's going to love me because my boobs are too saggy. That those are our perceived threats. And while our conscious mind can sit here and say, that's not even real. I'm just gonna stop for a minute. Thank you guys. So, hi Kay, and then some stuff said, "Hi Colynn, I listened to your podcast. Thank you. This one or Spiritual Sisters with Sass. I got a couple." Cindy said, "I woke up today with all these thoughts." And then Jude, you and your beautiful body, beautiful Colynn, and all of us. Thank you. Life is precious. Yes, I agree. I agree. I share from full on vulnerability, knowing that I've worked through a lot of this. Like the reason currently that I am the way I am is because I've chosen this. There's no Botox. There's like, there's a lot, and not that, again, no judgment, because every day I think about it. The other day I was like looking and I saw, oh yeah, it was all of these. And I was like, dude, I probably should get Botox because I've seen some of these filters that that age me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so gross. Like I'm gonna have a huge gobble thing hanging down, and it already bothers me. So these are things that I should probably get changed. And then I need to tell myself, like, don't do it because I know first and foremost, I don't want to put that stuff in my body. And I don't want to be, I just know how I am. I'm an addict and I will never be good enough. Like for my ego. I will never have enough Botox. I will never have enough surgery because I will always find something else that's wrong with me. So my work, my practice right now is to be right where I am as I am. And I think I don't even know which one's harder. Is it harder to get a tummy tuck and a boob job, or is it harder not to? Because there's pain, but like, and then there's scars, but then on the other side, maybe there's this. But I know as soon as I have that, I'll be like, look down at my thighs and be like, oh, and then that'll be the next thing that I'll do. Like, I know. So is it harder to not get it? Because then I have to look at my flaws. But I mean, that's our own personal decision. I really, trust me, come to Spiritual Sisters with Sass podcast. You'll see my sister and myself, and we are complete opposites. And the other day, someone asked if she was my daughter. And I was like, what the? She's a year younger than me. And I really don't think I look that old. But somehow, someone figured that they were like, ah, that she was so young because she does get Botox and she does have surgery. And she's good telling you all that. Um, yeah, so frustrating. Anyways, I don't want to get too far off, and I'm gonna come back. So Trinity, thank you. And then Jude said, yes, thank you. And I dreamt of body shame. Saw Jodie Foster being interviewed. No Botox, etc. Thank you, Jodie Foster. Good for you, Colin. What? Thank you. I appreciate that. So I don't want to get too far off because then I rant. That's my big thing, right? I should just be like ranting with Colin. It shouldn't even be a podcast or like a theme. It should just be like, where do I go with my thoughts today? So coming back, nervous system is constantly looking for, I don't want to die. I, but I'll get back to it. Hold on. So I got like from root to rose. Oh my God, don't get Botox. I've been drinking bone broth all winter and I swear my skin is tighter in my face. Now that's the other piece too, is like we can do natural things. We can. But I also don't ever want anyone to feel anyway because at the same time, like, so I used to have really crooked teeth and I got them straightened. So there's no difference, I think. Like it was pain. It was like a year and a half like remolding my face, and like it was for vanity. So there's no difference between getting my teeth straightened and getting a boob job, other than like the actual differences. But like for me, I just don't, I want everybody to feel comfortable at the same time that I'm just speaking about my choice. And you can have all those things and drink bone broth, right? So just throwing that out there and really appreciating just all of our journeys. Yeah, if we start, comparison never stops. Exactly. So, so nervous system is on guard, constantly looking for threats so that the host doesn't die. The host of the nervous system or the host of the ego that is not actually the ego doesn't die. And so it's trying to help us, honestly. Your ego is trying to get you love and keep you alive. So when people start talking about the ego is not your amigo, then unfortunately, if you believe that or walk down that line of thinking, you're going to be at constant struggle for the rest of your life because you're trying to like eliminate your ego, and it's not something that can be eliminated. It's what keeps you alive. It's what beats your freaking heart and draws breath into your lungs. Your ego is your amigo. And when you work with it, the mind is an excellent servant and a terrible master. And unfortunately, we just forgot that we weren't the ego. So somehow the ego became the master. The nervous system is running things, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to keep our heart beating. It's supposed to keep our breath breathing. It's supposed to be collecting data to see if we're going to die. And it's not who we are. It's not, it's a part of our body. It's in our body. So you best be friends. You best be amigos with your egos. I'm gonna make that like a slogan or something. Anyways, so here we are in a place recognizing, oh, okay, this is why I feel the way I feel. It's nothing against me. I'm not wrong. I'm not bad. I am enough. I just have this like program running that I'm not. And so meditation, that's what this was about. This talk was about meditation. And so what meditation allows us to do is be quiet. The first thing I hear from people is, I am not good at meditating. And I like literally I laugh out loud. It brings like, what? Who is good at meditation? I'm just wondering. Because I don't think anybody is. I think that meditation, well, there's 8 limbs of yoga. We have the first 6 are limbs that you practice. The next 2 are limbs that happen to you based on your practicing. So think about that for a minute. We'll just go through them really quick. We've got yama, right? Which is a way to, like, things not to do. And then we have niyama, which are things to do. And then we have, now I got to think of them all. We have asana, which is like our physical postures. But before it wasn't even that. It was just more about like being steady and ease within your posture, which was meditation posture. Just throwing that out there. But it's evolved as we've grown in yoga. And then from there, we have pranayama, which is our breath. So by practicing all of these things, now being conscious of our breath, deep breathing, pranayama is constituted by a pause somewhere on the exhale or the inhale. So fast breathing is not pranayama, it's a kriya. It actually like helps detox you. So pranayama is a restrained breath. When you practice that, then you start to withdraw the senses. So pratyahara. So stop paying attention to the outer world and look at your internal world, because you're literally your lens, your nervous system, your ego is how you see the world, and that's your experience of the world. This is how we create our own reality. Okay? So when you start to look within, you start to hear what you're thinking. That's number 5. And so number 6 is dharana, and dharana is intense focus. So when you practice the 10 commandments of yoga and you're able to get your body to a place that's comfortable and also steady, not being lazy, but steady in the pose, and then you breathe long and slow in and out, and then you start to look inside, and then you intensely focus now on whatever. There's different on a mantra is great, but like really what we're looking at is going inside and focusing on staying inside instead of like, oh, what was that noise? Oh, I have an oil change, like all those things. Then the 7th limb, dhyana, will happen to you. You will experience meditation. So nobody's good at meditation, period. So just stop saying it. and just show up. That's it. And meditation, for me, I was like, I need 45 minutes. I need to be in a room with a picture of Buddha. I need like this and that. And it's got to be totally silent. And then it was just so much that I didn't do it. This is meditation. We're going to do one together right now. I want you all to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and think to yourself, I am meditating. And then let it out. And then think, I am finished meditating. And open your eyes. You just meditated and you did a great job at it. Meditation isn't maybe what you perceive it to be about, like, I need to sit here and totally like go to another world. No, like to me, that is meditation. Is that if you've ever sat there and had a moment where you like, you don't know how long you were there, like it was you were in a void. There was nothing. I don't remember how long I was there. I don't know where I was. There was just nothing. There was no voice in my head. There was no concept of time. My ego was gone. Like it was just, there was no, I was somewhere but nowhere. To me, that's my experience of meditation. And it's kind of like, I don't want you to think about it this way, but it's kind of like the reward for practicing all of the practices of yoga. And so then I get it by having that moment, but that moment to me is like so rare and so far and few between. I don't have it all the time. But when I do, there's no stress, there's no ego, there's nothing. And nothing is the absence of chaos. And the chaos has definitely been what has why I have, instead of facing it, why I have become an addict and why I have been an addict in almost everything that I do to find some peace, because it's actually, I feel peaceful in a sense in the chaos because it's all I know. And so when I am absent of chaos and still present in my ego with bad talking, then I experience like discord and I suffer. So the goal of meditation, like the practice of meditation, like sitting, what we call meditation, but isn't, is just like sitting there and being quiet. It's the other limbs of yoga. When I'm in that space, I actually start to notice what's going on inside of me instead of distracting by paying attention to everything else. And what happens is, first and foremost, I become uncomfortable. I have emotions. I have memories. It depends on the day and the practice and what's going on, but exactly what I don't want or what I'm afraid of to like happen happens. And I can stay inside, learn, self-study, or I can distract myself with all the stuff from around me. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, what was that sound? Oh, the oil in my car. Like, that's not meditating. That's being in the ego. And the work of meditation is to bring us back to ourselves. So then what that does is creates a question, who are you? And I mean, again, I should just do a podcast. I'll just do a podcast called Who Are You? And then we'll dive into like what that looks like. But in short, right now, what we know is you're not your body. Do you know how I know? If you're like, what? Excuse me? Do you know how I know you're not your body? Because I want you to raise your hand. Okay. If you just raised your hand or thought about it, then I want you to know that, like, if you were your body, you wouldn't have a hand, you would be hand. This is when you say my hand, then I mean, like, if you were your body, then your hand would be part of who you are. It wouldn't be yours. You would be hand. So you're not your body. Your body is what you're housed within. Your body has a nervous system, so you're not also your thoughts. You know those thoughts that are going around in your head that you may think like, I am stupid, I am ugly, I am this, I am that. They're all bullshit. You're not your body, so you can't be ugly. You have a body, and that body serves you very well. And maybe I'm saying this and like you're in a wheelchair, or you're severely overweight, or you're not. Like, regardless of what you're thinking, if you are identifying as the body, then you will identify as good or bad, wrong or right, ugly or beautiful. And then you'll alter it to be those things. But when you're not your body, then you actually realize that your body is what you are housed within, and this is the only body you get this life. So, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to hate it the whole time? Because there's no other option other than not being in this body. What would it look like to, like, instead of hating your car, you loved it? You were just like, oh my God, I love you so much. Hold on one sec. Sorry to cough, but also not sorry because I had to cough. Imagine that. You were like, oh my gosh, I have this body. Okay, so you're not your body, but you have one. And that body has a nervous system, and that nervous system is constantly going through like this, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I need this, I need that, I'm not enough. So you are not your thoughts either. Oh my gosh. You are also not your emotions. Your body has emotions. Those also come through and process through the nervous system, but you're not them. You're not happy. You're not sad. You're not bipolar. Like, whatever it is that you have going on, it's not you. It's something that your body's going through. So you have it. In fact, in Spanish, I'm learning Spanish. For a long time, I talked about like the two verbs, estar, like, or sorry, the two verbs for to be. We have estar and ser. And ser is like permanent, and then estar is temporary. So you would only use it with like descriptions of people. And I used to say our emotions, but like really even better is that the emotions, if we're talking about them, then they are temporary. But really, we don't even talk about them that way. We talk about them with a verb called to have. So I am hungry is identifying as your body because your body is hungry. The reality is, just like it says in Spanish, I have hunger. I would say tengo hambre. Like, I'm hungry. I have hunger. And even though there's still that, like, the part of I that's connected to the body has hunger, the body is hungry. But it would be kind of weird to be like, hey, everybody, my body's hungry. Do you guys want to go out and eat today? So also you have emotions, but you are not your emotions. If you have a personality disorder, a mental health, or a mental illness, or a physical disorder, like anything that's going on, you're not that thing, you have it. I know this right now, with all the things going on with my granddaughter, is a question of like, immediately there was a question of like Down syndrome, and then someone said, she'll be a syndrome baby. And I was like, how about we look at this for a minute? I've been talking about this for ages, but you know what? Let's just like look at it since this is personal to all of us. Someone isn't Down syndrome, they have Down syndrome. Someone isn't bipolar, they have bipolar. Because how could you be Down syndrome? How can you be bipolar mental illness? You can't. If several people have it, then you're not it. Like, you have it. Just throwing out there. So those are extremes. Is like also just like the thought of being ugly. That's identifying as the body and then comparing to another body. But when you back off of the identifying as, you come to a realization like, this is amazing. And thank you so much for like walking me from this room to the kitchen to get some damn food. It's amazing, not wrong or not enough. It's more than enough. It's like, I'm so lucky to have this body. Even if the body doesn't function perfectly as compared to an ego perspective. I hope this is landing. So meditation helps us to realize all of this, to realize like, oh, that thought wasn't mine. Because the part of me that is me, that also is like in yoga, it's the impartial witness, just throwing that out there. Okay. So impartial. So this witness is not partial to anything. So who you are truly has no opinion about anything. It's perfect. Like it really, you are perfect. You really are. In yoga, the idea is like, without using the word God, because it really wasn't a word in yoga, right? They're just thinking of it from a yoga perspective, not challenging anyone's stuff, or if you want it to be that too, not trying to be overly people pleasing in this moment. But the idea overall is like we are all one, like everything is connected, all of us. And the concept is that consciousness one day became aware of itself, and ever since then has been co-created. And this is it. It was the dinosaurs, it's the cosmos, it's all the things we're co-creating. And this is our specific reality of co-creation while in creation, experiencing this reality that is just mine and only mine, but also not, because we're all connected anyways. So like, if you're a part of that, then you yourself are God. Not in a way of you are a God, you are God, you are energy, you are co-creating in consciousness, yogic perspective. And when you realize that, it's co-creating through this beautiful body that you have for you to show up in this world and to create your own experience. And I feel like that can only be understood in the silence, in the going within. Because also, if you're like, oh my gosh, yes, maybe you've heard this a million times and you're like, yeah, of course, babe, we're soul sisters. And then maybe you're like, wait, and this is an awakening moment where you're like, whoa, hold on. If it's just because there's a part of you that knows it to be true, not because I'm teaching you this. I'm awakening a piece in you that already knows this to be true. And all you need to do to access it is go within. And all the answers are here. You got them. But sometimes we don't know how to get the answers. And that meditation is really supportive of that. It's really about withdrawal of the senses and intense focus. And we'll look at how we can use intense focus for like manifestation, which itself will be another podcast. Right now, it's just becoming aware of, what is that voice in your head saying? Right? It's really often all the things we've been talking about, and it's just that I suck. And if I can realize that that's my body's nervous system trying to save me, I can be like, thank you, and I'm safe. And then my energy can stop being focused on perceived threats, and can start to focus on my dharma, or my path in life, the purpose for me to be here. But I can't do it when I'm stuck watching Netflix and I drink all the time and I'm overweight and unhappy about it because I'm trying to protect myself, because I'm completely unaware of the constant thoughts that are in my head 24/7 directing everything. So boom. I'll stop there, because we're like, I could just keep on going, but we'll stop there because I said I would share about meditation and how to use those in your world to support your growth, your awakening, your realizations. So there are so many different types of meditation. I'm just going to share like some of the like the popular ones that you're going to run into. So first and foremost is mindfulness. Okay, mindfulness is great for everyone. This is no dogma, nothing. You're not going to talk about, or you're not going to hear, if it's a true mindfulness meditation, you're not going to hear anything spiritual. You're literally going to be mindful, like your mind is going to be fully focused on what you're doing. And so a lot of body awareness, a lot of working with tension, working with your breath. This is not visualization, even though there might be a little bit of like imagining the breath going in and out and stuff like that. It's a lot coming back to focusing on you and your body and who you are. And it reduces stress. The mindful-based stress reduction is an actual thing that's an offshoot of yoga. We've got that being used. Yoga Nidra is another way to do this, and it is being used for vets. It's being used in prisons. It's being used in schools. Mindfulness is huge, and really it brings you back to body. It brings you back to presence. It brings you into anchoring. Also, you are in a body. You are not a human having a spiritual experience. You are a spirit having a human experience. So you also need to stay here. Stop going off into the ethers and come back to your body and create a relationship with your body, because every answer is there, and you will know by a feeling, by a sensation, by a thought, by a color, by a vision, by muscle testing, like by the body, you will have all the answers. So get back to the body. And that's what mindfulness helps us do. All right. Number 2, visualization, since it's so close. And that's the visualization of like, imagine you're on a beach and you see and you go through this whole journey and you walk down a trail and you go into a hot spring and you're naked, but the birds are flying like all right. Visualization is really helpful because it takes us to somewhere else. And what it does is it anchors our bodies in to the parasympathetic nervous system. So it helps to take us out of fight or flight, because we're not imagining that there's a snake wrapping around our neck and we can't breathe. Like, we're imagining these amazing and beautiful places and things. So visualization really helps us with the stress as well, but it can be anything we want. It can be about the chakras. It can be about gliding through the airs. It's accessing these etheric records. It's all of the visualization, like visualizing things. So a side note with visualization is that half of people can't actually visualize, like a visual, you see it right in front of your face thing. It's called aphantasia. It's normal. Literally only half of the world can visualize. So if you're one that like really struggles, just know it's totally normal, and stop trying to see the thing and get back more into the felt sense. Example, I'll do it right now. Okay. Right? Imagine a black cat, right? Either you just like, you saw a cat in front of you, imagine the picture of it, or you thought about, I'm just going to stretch my leg, or you thought about like a black cat that you know. That's how your brain does, is like goes through the folders and is like, black cat. Okay. Also, I'm saying like, imagine that there's a lemon right in front of you. I don't see it, but maybe you do. And I want you to take a knife out of the drawer and I want you to cut the lemon. The juice is going all over the board. There's some seeds. You've got it like on your fingers. You know what that's going to taste like if it goes in your mouth. And I want you to reach down and grab half of the lemon. I'm salivating. I want you to put it in your mouth and I want you to take a big bite, and it's coming out all over. Like, if you're not salivating, awesome, right? You didn't have to see it to experience that. So that's what you want to touch on, the felt sense of those things. You can't do this wrong. Okay, you're doing great. So then we want to sit with that for visualization, and really it's another way to just to overall help us get out of the stress response, which we'll look at what that does to your body and how that manifests as like physical manifestation as injury and disease. But that's not today. So then we've got, what have we got next? Let's talk about actually like mantra. So mantra affirmation meditations. When we have mantra and affirmations, same thing, different. Like mantras using like Sanskrit words, affirmations are saying like English words over and over again, whichever one it is, it's cool. The idea is like when you use a mantra, you tune into the frequencies of the universe. So like Om is like the sound of the universe, and it's like all of the beings within it. And it's like a whole huge explanation. But really, all I have to do is say Om, because that was the sound that was like, that was the frequency at the time that the universe was created. So when I say Om, I go back to that frequency. Whereas affirmation is just like repetition of words that eventually has the thought patterns going to the positive as opposed to the negative. Same, but totally different. Okay. So what I love, I don't have a mala with me. We have a mala company, and the mala bracelets, the finger mala, the half mala, the pocket mala, or even the full mala, those are to help you from going off and being distracted outside of yourself. So you take it and then you repeat a mantra or an affirmation over and over again. The idea is 108 times. 108 is an auspicious number. It's divisible by 3, ends up in 3. That's the most spiritual number. Everything's in threes. Okay. Or divisible by 3, or whatever that story is, which I can also make a podcast on. But really, we do that, and then at some point we hit a place where we're at that frequency. Our energy is vibrating at that frequency. And then so when you're vibrating at that frequency, then that which you are attracted to is attracted to you. A whole nother podcast. Don't worry, we'll get to all of them. So that's where mantra meta, or not meta, mantra or affirmation meditation is really great. We have metta meditation. Metta is a Buddhist meditation, not a yogic. So what? It's still pretty helpful. So metta is to help with forgiveness. Metta has us sit with ourselves and then repeat like blessings and well wishes to ourselves, to other people, to the world. And it's really helpful for forgiveness. And then Buddha says there is spiritual beings will not hurt you, and like there's so many different things, and your face will glow and all these things. So there's also a lot of like really great benefits to it, but it helps with forgiveness. And forgiveness really is just like drinking, or not forgiving. Having hatred, having a lot of anger is really just like drinking poison. And it will rot us. It will hurt us. So if we can release the feelings that we have in our body related to the emotions about the situation, then we will be again at a different frequency. Like let's just say the frequency is love or hate or love or dislike, and you're constantly in dislike because you're thinking about and obsessing about this person who stole this thing from you. You're actually going down into that, and you're going to attract more people like that. Okay. Again, we already know, if you go back to physics, that, everything is like light and sound rays and all these different like things going on, which again, we can also talk about in another podcast, but really like energy is, we know because turn on your lights, like energy is, and we have energy inside of us. Go back to physics. So whatever you're kind of putting out, or the lens of your world, which your lens is your amygdala, which is in your nervous system, which bypasses frontal lobe or reasoning and creates a fast track, so that when you hear a dog barking, you know that they could attack you based on being attacked as a kid or something like that. So you're afraid of dogs. And so when you're afraid of a dog and you go up, or a dog comes up to you and you're afraid of it, what is the likely outcome? You're going to get bit, right? And it's not because the dog's bad. There's how you create your world. Because if you're like, oh my gosh, like sure you could get bitten, but if you love dogs and you're not afraid of them, then that's the last thing you think is going to happen. Because you love dogs and the dogs are great and they never bite you because you are so kind and like and not afraid. It's not about being mean, it's about being afraid. So moving on, told you I could rant. What else can we say is a very popular meditation? Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is like somatic, 100%. You want to release trauma, which is another podcast. Trauma is stored in your body. Trauma really is like, trauma isn't what happens to you. Trauma is what you do with what happens to you. And so what you do within your body that is a reaction to what you went through. This is a way we can release those feelings, those stored memories in the body so that we're not, our lens isn't like a certain color, like dog barking fear. And when we release that, I mean, we're healthier, we're younger, we're thinner, we're just great as we are. And there are many more meditations. Yet they kind of all still fall into this overall category of these like four main. So my suggestion is for you to give it a try. What your homework is, if you're interested, is to find space, whether it be 5 minutes of just like not listening to somebody, unless of course that's what you need to get started, but just like set your timer for 5 minutes and be quiet and only pay attention to what is inside and just notice if ever you're like out, because you'll be like, it's just a thought. And then you follow that thought. The goal is to be like, oops, and then come back. Oops, and then come back. And then what's going to happen is a voice is going to start saying things. And at some point, you're going to realize like that's the voice of the ego or the nervous system. And it's not very helpful. And it is actually helpful because what we will do is get those stories and get them out, get them written down. And then we're going to create opposites of those stories. We're going to create counter stories so that when I realize that my voice is like, let's just say I want to invest and get some buildings on my property. My head is like, you'll go broke. So if it's like, oh, lack, like I can't do it, I'm not enough, I have bad luck, whatever that story is that usually is going through, it's coming up right now. And I can be like, no, I'm safe and I'm smart enough to make decisions like this and everything will work out as it's supposed to. And then I'll move forward and eventually my voice will default to the opposite. And the opposite is a positive mindset. And so if I'm always in the negative and always looking for things that are going to destroy me, then chances are I'm going to have those situations. So I want to switch it over to the other side where I'm in the positive, and therefore the frequency or the energy I'm attracting is things that are great and happy, not by bypassing into like toxic positivity. So that's your homework. And if you want to if you can get further, go ahead. We'll bring it up again for sure. But I'm going to close off there. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming, for listening. It was awesome. Thank you for joining me on Yoga is Science. I hope today's episode offered you a fresh perspective on the incredible synergy between the ancient yogic practices and our modern day science. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could benefit from these insights. And until next time, keep exploring the science of life.